Cody Gakpo has signed for Liverpool, and in the next 24 to 48 hours, we can expect the player to arrive in Liverpool, do a medical, and possibly even put one of those photos up online where he's holding the little shirt there next to a Christmas tree and everything else behind him. Is it good news for Liverpool fans? Is it the news that Liverpool fans wanted and expected? And is it bad news for other clubs? And there are plenty of other ramifications. Let's go through some of them in this video. If you've not already hit subscribe, hit that subscribe button. Join the chat. Let me know what you guys think of the new signing down below. What does it mean for future Liverpool signings? What does it mean for everyone who said that Liverpool will be quiet in January? Did they mean that they will be busy during December? And therefore, what does it mean for Liverpool's future transfer dealings? I'd be interested to know what all of your theories out there are. Get your heads going on this one. Anyway, Liverpool obviously just beat Aston Villa in the Premier League, and there wasn't really much mention of it before the game. There weren't even rumblings really before the game. We knew that Liverpool were interested in this guy for quite some time. But again, there was suddenly this little thing from Virgil van Dijk post-game, him saying, we expect the signing of new players very, very soon because injuries have been a real problem. Now, that summarises so much of what has gone on for Liverpool. I'm about to break some of that down for you. Pep Lingers, of course, a couple of months ago, called Cody Gakpo the missing link. Fascinatingly so, because at the time, it looked as if Liverpool had got so many great links together that there wasn't much missing. But of course, it's very difficult to identify what you need when you're competing on all four fronts, when so many things are seemingly going so well. And then when the narrative feels right at a club, well, there's something good, but you don't plan for the future in that way if you're a fan. However, behind the scenes at Liverpool, things have been ticking and turning for a little while now, and quite a few people have been profiled in quite a few different positions, basically to try and get Liverpool into a position where they can become more competitive. They've identified what the issues in this Liverpool team are, and now they're trying to solve them. But a real problem in solving this is that they're now currently in a much more competitive transfer market than they were before. Step in Manchester United, who also saw Cody Gakpo as a huge player for them. In fact, Erik ten Hag himself has apparently been wanting the player since last summer. So he isn't the only manager who thought this could be good for something. Of course, Pep Lingers is busy rebuilding Liverpool's current and rebuilt Liverpool's previous side to be even stronger than it was before. Before that, it was Jurgen Klopp and Buvac, and that was a great combination of much more rock and roll football. But under Pep Lingers and Klopp, it's become a little bit more controlling, a little bit more towards that total football idea, or at least the Dutch football idea. And Liverpool have been moving in a direction where, weirdly, they have kind of a fetish throughout different times for certain players and kind of go for them. Like they just go, okay, we need this kind of player, go. Okay, we need this kind of player, go. And now they look as if they're looking to build a team with a slightly different orientation, shall we say. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, for instance, started in the position that you might expect Cody Gakpo to start in for Liverpool. Which also kind of begs the question, when this Liverpool team is at full strength, will Cody Gakpo actually be in it? Well, that's another answer that we've got out there as well. Apparently it's injuries to Jota and indeed Luis Diaz, and then obviously the consistent and persistent injuries for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, which have hounded and really diminished some of the issues around Liverpool. For instance, they've diminished some of their campaigns in the past because Liverpool just haven't been able to field a strong enough side. That is also a consideration for Cody Gakpo, who hasn't played a huge amount of minutes so far in any of his campaigns. Sure, he's played big minutes, but there have been injuries along the way. There have been issues, should we say, with the fact that he's a young guy who's trying to break into teams. And then there's also been the issues of the fact that, well, as a young player, there's only so many minutes that your body can sort of take at different points. But he has progressed very quickly, bear that in mind, to the point where he seemed pretty critical for this side that just went out with the Netherlands. Now, that side was blunted, and you can't necessarily blame Gakpo for that because Louis van Gaal shoulds a lot of that blame, as do some of the more senior players in that side. But it's pretty showing that 3-3 at the World Cup is impressive. And that missing link comment from Pep Lingers, and then that comment tonight from Virgil van Dijk was obviously always a bit of a breadcrumb, shall we say, that Liverpool have been onto this kid for almost over a year now, I'd say, if not longer. And this is part of that rebuild for Liverpool, right? Think of that 4-3-3 and then get rid of it. It's a lovely memory at this point, and 4-3-3 is still a very prominent formation within the football club and in football in general. But Liverpool are looking to move the orientation and move the emphasis to somewhere else within this side. And Cody Gakpo could be a huge amount of that. Really tidy feet, actually not the finishing that Liverpool are probably looking for right now, but also a high volume winger that people really are going to consider as a replacement for Mane, not so much as a replacement for Luis Diaz. By the way, he's not a Mane player, but he is a player that people will think, well, he plays in a similar part of the field and therefore he's going to play there. And so that's why we need to look at Liverpool and their positions right now. We see them moving a lot of players around into different positions, trying to work out what the orientation of the side is, trying to work out where they can get the most strength out of this, what feels like a limited squad right now, not only because of injuries, but also just because of aging and the turnover they've got. And we start to map out where this side is going, right? Some people will say, well, the signing of Gakpo means there's no Bellingham. Not necessarily, although Bellingham may be in more advanced talks with other people, say a Man City or someone like that. It doesn't necessarily mean that Bellingham won't sign. Signing a 30 to 40 million pound or euro player doesn't necessarily mean that therefore you're out of other races. Mainly because if you are signing a 30 to 40 million pound player, that means that you should never have been in for Bellingham in the first place because your limited resources were extremely limited. And signing just one Jude Bellingham or someone else probably isn't the best thing. The other idea, of course, is that Cody Gakpo and the should we say strengths and weaknesses that we've seen of him so far are also obviously limited by the side that he is in. Liverpool will have been profiling the player, but also profiling the character for quite a while. In a similar way to the way that a lot of modern coaches and scouts do, Liverpool will have been looking very similarly to Man City at the character of the guy. Is it so much just the limited playing examples that we have, or is it also about the temperament of the player, the feet of the player, the technical ability, all these things that Liverpool will believe could be plug and play, or could be, well, that plugs in quite well with what we need from Darwin Nunez. If we need someone who can carry the ball particularly well in this area, let's not make that Darwin, let's make that Salah, makes that Gakpo, make that a midfielder behind that. This is excuse me, this is a sign that whatever reports you've seen so far probably aren't all that accurate. Whatever you think it is that a player is going, when a player is going to sign for Liverpool or not for Liverpool, or whether they fit the profile or not, Pep Linders and Jurgen Klopp now have their own ideas. The likelihood is they actually don't want to be moving all that publicly with all this stuff. But weirdly, Pep sort of left these breadcrumbs out in public back in the Champions League earlier this season. He was giving comments. I think it was in Liverpool made a trip to Ajax, and on that trip to Ajax, Pep spoke to some Dutch journalists. As far as I can remember, I might be wrong about this, might be wrong about the timeline, but what I'm saying is that means that Liverpool have been profiling this kid for quite a while. What does it mean? Well, it means they will be slotting into some of those positions, such as your Luis Diaz's, such as your Jota's, but also slightly deeper into the midfield, picking the ball up and bringing it forward. It most likely means that there is also a replacement for Firmino being sort of bodied in. Is that a Gakpo type? Is that a Nunez type? It's someone who can drop a little bit deeper and bring it forward. Maybe Liverpool don't want to progress the ball through a Firmino anymore. They want to go to a wider type player, such as Salah, Gakpo, Harvey Elliott, someone like that, and be able to stretch the opposition. But then also when they get into compressed tight areas, there's great technical ability. They also need someone who is a finisher. They need someone who can contribute goals. And they also need someone who can hit the ground running. It's not going to be about getting him out on that right wing. It's going to be about putting him on the left and seeing what he can do there, seeing how he can combine with the Nunez, and probably pushing Nunez a little more centrally. So with that, we now see that Cody Gakpo is a Liverpool player. There are now loads of Photoshops out there of him. There's, of course, the Here We Go from Fabrizio Romano. And if he does end up signing for Liverpool, obviously, fingers crossed, is he worth the money? A lot of people asking that about, say, Darwin Nunez this summer as well. Well, a few people have got a few different interesting ideas around that. Some people saying he isn't worth the money, and some people saying he is very much a highlight reel player. Other people saying that if you put him under a Jurgen Klopp type, you can see that there are a lot of these factors that you would like to see in a player that Jurgen Klopp himself would progress, and indeed Jurgen Klopp's technical staff would progress. This is also huge because Manchester United, in terms of their signings, have signed some really important and critical players. Did they stop their pursuit of Cody Gakpo? Was it that Liverpool did just beat them? Or was it that actually the player decided to go to Liverpool ahead of Manchester United? Liverpool are notorious within the industry for being incredible at bidding to the players. When they get in the room with the player, when they talk about what the setup's going to be, what the players are going to be like, all these kind of things. I don't know what's in that PowerPoint, but I really want to find out. If that is still better than Manchester United, which I could imagine at this stage it is, even though Manchester United will be progressing it, then you imagine that could have been one of the things that pipped Liverpool ahead of Manchester United in signing this player. Just don't get me wrong, you'll see in the next couple of days, it wasn't the player that we wanted. It wasn't the profile that we wanted. He's not as good as you thought. He's not as good as I said he was. He probably isn't the guy that we wanted anyway if he wasn't that sort of a profile. If Eric Ten Hag actually stopped his pursuit of him because he thought he was terrible in the end. We've got loads of other people that we want in. Rashford's... Anyway, all I'm saying is that probably is the case. There probably is a case of they didn't want him anymore, right? Rashford was improving or whatever it is. That doesn't make Gakpo a bad signing. And it also doesn't mean that Manchester United weren't beaten at some point to that as a signing. I'm just saying, you don't just want one profile of player in that front line like that. Liverpool are currently signing, literally, for depth. That's what's fascinating. Cody Gakpo here is not necessarily a starter. He is depth. For Liverpool fans, it just means more confusion as to what is actually going on at the club. Currently, the club, or a share of the club, is up for sale. So people thought, well, naturally, no transfers. Other people also thought, well, would you rather have to invest into the club after, or is it better to invest more money and sort of rebate the people who are buying players right now through a sale of a club because of tax purposes? We are yet to find out, and we may still find out, but it might still be some time down the road. So Liverpool still need to maintain their value up until the point where they sell a share or the entire club. You can't sell Liverpool for the same amount if they're not competing with the other clubs in the same way. So this would also fit a lot of the transfers that are going on, or a lot of the expected transfers to go on with Liverpool, right? What I'm saying is, everything you've read about Liverpool won't be competing in January for signing of players, wrong. Liverpool are competing for Jude Bellingham, may be correct. Man City aren't as progressive as Liverpool, wrong. Real Madrid aren't progressive as Liverpool, wrong. All of these people are just looking for clicks. The only time, and here's the interesting factor, I've released a video before I've seen a player holding the shirt. All of these factors are fascinating, but all of them are just in it for clicks. Obviously, I'm also partly in it for clicks. I want to get your analysis. I want to chat to you. But what this does do is it does fit the Liverpool profile of young player. He's a fairly expensive 23-year-old from the Dutch league, so he fits in with the kind of Dutch football that obviously Pep Linders now wants to play. But he also fits that profile of they're either going to sign what they consider to be a world-class talent, or they're going to bring someone through from the youth. And they don't believe there's going to be much in between. Now, I stupidly thought, well, maybe that means that therefore some of these players are not going to be mid-level, mid-price players, but some of them may be what Liverpool consider to be internationally world-class players, whilst, how can I put it, whilst also being a mid-range price of player. And what I mean by that is, not everyone is always going to go, oh, we value this kid at 100 million. But what is important is Liverpool value them highly. If Liverpool value them highly, other teams probably also should value them highly. But if Liverpool can remain ahead of other people in their valuations and what they think is important in a player, then they will still find efficiencies and moneyball ideas within the market. It isn't just about people running numbers. Although it isn't also about gut feelings. There may be other systems at Liverpool. There may be new collaborations, especially consider that Julian Ward and other people are now moving on. So just think about that. What we currently now know is that Liverpool have signed a new player. It was against what most people were reporting would have been the grain at Liverpool, and it was also against a lot of the prevailing thinking at the moment. So while you're busy being happy about Cody Gakpo, also be happy about the fact that a lot of the reports, a lot of the sentiment towards Liverpool, Liverpool's owners and Liverpool's sale, but also just the current Liverpool players, was mostly just Twitter speculation. I'm just saying. signing of a great young 23-year-old who clearly fits the profile of what Liverpool want, clearly fits this kind of centre-forward, left-winger profile that Liverpool are looking to fill right now, and also just an incredibly aggressive player with great feet, incredible tight ability out there, and also clearly someone who would fit in quite well with Andy Robertson, someone like that, which maybe was what Liverpool was struggling with Luis Diaz along the way. I'd be very interested to see how this progresses. The real question is, does he play regularly? I think he does play regularly. Is he a first-team starter? Currently, some people profile him as no. Currently, some profile him as yes. I think he fits. I know a lot of the profilers out there are going to say, well, probably not 100%. Pep, Klopp, and everyone else has clearly got the coaching ability to coach a player from another setup into this setup. Not everyone needs to be plug and play. Not everyone needs to be, hey, he fits their profile perfectly, therefore he fits in here. Hey, we previously signed Sadio Mane and Salah, therefore he needs to be a Salah and Mane type player. Not the way it works. With the system changing, Liverpool also need to change the profile of player that they're signing and the kind of ability those people have as well. What I'm saying is, it doesn't have to be that we think of the old or great Liverpool team and go, he fits in for him. There'll be new profiles that Liverpool is signing here. There'll be new people that Liverpool are looking at. There'll be new kinds of players. There will be players that Liverpool believe will be important in the next 10 years of football as football progresses, right? So just think about that. Let me know in the comments below how excited you are and if you even are excited. And I'll chat to you guys in a little while. Much love. Bye.